Hey everybody, this is Bob from Wham's Tech, and today we're going to troubleshoot your Veracross gradebook. So the number one request that I have is, why are my scores not being calculated as part of the calculated grade when I've entered their scores correctly inside the score columns? Just like you see here. I've entered in 100 for all of these students, but the calculated grade is still a 0. If I come over here to my weighting, I see that my weight for quarter 4, which is what the current quarter I'm in, is indeed 100%. I've totaled up all of these things. I'm also using the homework category, and that's the category that I'm using, or the assignment type that I'm using in Veracross. So why is it not calculating my calculated grade? The reason being is because we only have one column right now with the assignment type of homework. And if we go to our weighting, we'll see that we're actually dropping the lowest score. Because we only have one score, it's dropping that only score. So it makes it think that there aren't any homework scores that have been entered. So what you might want to do is just uncheck all of your drop lowest across all of your weighting categories here. And then when you go back to your scores and give it a refresh, you should see your calculated grade is now visible. Okay, some other issues you might run into. First, if you attempt to use an assignment type that you're not weighting, you'll receive an error. For example, I'm not weighting my project category, right? But if I attempt to use the project category, so when I click save, you'll see that it generates an error. Now, this error is very generic. It just says there was an error, but the reason is because you're using an assignment type that you're not weighting. So I hit OK. I need to change my assignment type to one that I am weighting, and then you'll see it saves correctly. So that's the other reason why you might have a calculated grade of 0. Okay, the last thing is making sure that your weighting is set up correctly. So right underneath the word weight in the header for each of the quarters, you should make sure that it's equal to 100% here. Okay. You can also see a count of how many columns are using these assignments, and you should make sure that the counts don't exist in any of the assignment types that you're not weighting. For example, if I come back over here again and make this project, and go to weighting, you see that I'm using a project. I have one column, right, that's using the project, but I'm not weighting that column, or I'm not weighting that assignment type. So that should be an indicator to you to change your assignment type from whatever this is to one that you are currently weighting. Okay, speaking of weighting, the last thing you should check is to make sure that when you're editing, is that your weight points should always be 100. There were some teachers that were giving a score of, let's say, 5, which is fine. You can do that if you're scoring your items out of 5, 1 of 5, 2 of 5, and so forth. But the weight should always be 100%. It says points, but really it's this percentage. How much is this column worth? There were some teachers that were also making this 5, let's say, which means that this column is only worth 5% of this 5. This should always be 100%, meaning it has full value of those 5 points. The only time you really want to change this is, let's say you want to make this homework assignment worth double. So yeah, you're scoring it out of 5, but really you're making it worth 10, right? So you can make it worth 200%, double the amount. Or if you don't want to count it as a full 5, maybe it's only worth a half of a homework assignment, you can set the weight to 50, which is like 50% of the overall score. But otherwise, I would say just leave it at 100. So just kind of set it and forget it to be 100. All right, if you have any questions at all about how to troubleshoot your Veracross gradebook, feel free to reach out, robert.petito@woodward.edu. And as always, thanks for watching.